Pra sempre cantarei as maravilhas que Deus realizou em ti. O espelho, fundamento da paz, pedra que não se quebrou.
Hello, my friends. It's Mike Mangione, singer-songwriter and events director for the Theology of the Body Institute. And I am very excited and honored to be part of this virtual conference happening to celebrate the life of John Paul II. I've been doing music for 15 years, and oftentimes people ask me who my inspirations are as a musician and as an artist. And I can sincerely say, and I'm not just saying this because I'm speaking for this conference here, but I'm saying this because it's true. For me, there's been a few people. I like a lot of different music. I'm moved by a lot of different art, but there's been a few people who have spoken and worked in a way that resonates dear within my heart. And it's almost like what they put out, like resonance is when something vibrates. Like I strike a note on the guitar, and if my finger's in the right place, I properly resonate in the sound of an A note, right? The note A. So there's few people that have struck a note that resonates something in a harmony within me. And for me, it's people like Bob Dylan, it's people like Van Morrison, like Tom Waits. And I always say one of my biggest influences artistically is John Paul II, St. John Paul II. He was a lover of arts because he was an artist himself, and he understood what it meant to be an artist, truly, and he understood the great potential of art. And to understand the great potential of art, you have to understand the transcendentals. You have to understand that truth, goodness, beauty are all together. They're all part of the same thing. And this is all capital truth, like the truth, unshakable truth in our life can be shown to you through true beauty. Beauty, something in its absolute perfect form as designed by God. And those, both truth and goodness in that sense, are good. I'm sorry, both truth and beauty in that sense are good. They're all the same. Pope Paul VI once said that in the age to come, hearts will be won to truth. Hearts will know truth via beauty. So in the age when things are relative, when things are not objective, there's no objective truth in their subjectively, they don't believe in a truth, beauty will be the key to pierce through that wall and reach the echo of truth that everybody knows in their heart. Beauty has that power. It's the reason why we can all, no matter where we come from in our life, faith, life, no faith, different denominations, we can all go and take in and fully enjoy the Sistine Chapel. It's why we go in the United States, we go to the Grand Canyon. It's why the statue of Christ in Rio is beautiful. We all can look at it and say that's beautiful because it's part of the transcendentals. So John Paul II understood this, and not only did he understand beauty, but he understood the role of the artist because he was an artist. And that art is not simply a form of entertainment or satisfaction. Surely it can have those offsets. It can result in entertainment, and it should cause happiness. But art, in its truest form, is an appeal to the mystery, the human mystery that we all carry. So what I'll do here is I'm going to read a couple things that John Paul II said, and then I'm going to explain it in my own words. And then I'm going to conclude with a song, because if everything I say is not good, at least the song might save the talk. Does that make sense? Okay. So John Paul II, in April 4th, 1999, wrote something called A Letter to Artists, where he spelled it out. As an artist, he wrote this for artists so that they understood not only who they were in the world, but also the great potential and responsibility that they had as artists. So in his letter to the artists, I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit. I'm going to say a couple quotes, and then I'm going to tie it in my own language. He says, one of the things he says is, every genuine inspiration, however, contains some tremor of that breath. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So every genuine inspiration, however, contains some tremor of that breath with which the Creator's Spirit suffused the work of creation from the very beginning. So he's talking about the initial breath of life that was given to us as human beings. In the very beginning, God breathed, and that's to inspire. He breathes his breath, and everything comes out and is inspired by that initial breath of the Creator. So every genuine inspiration from us, an artist, however, contains a tremor of that breath. So as artists, we contain a tremor of that breath with which the Creator Spirit suffused the work of creation from the very beginning. Okay? He then goes on to say, bear with me, I'll tie it all together, but he then goes on to say, through his artistic creativity, through man's artistic creativity, man appears more than ever. So by being artistically creative, man appears more than ever in the image of God, as he accomplishes the task above all in shaping the wondrous material of his own humanity, and then exercising creative dominion over the universe which surrounds him. So an artist is using the materials of the earth to create something, to create something that reflects the human mystery, and by doing so, he is more than ever in the image of God. That blew my mind. When I discovered this, when I was 20 something, that blew my mind. Then he goes on to say, creative art, which it is the soul's good fortune to entertain, is not to be identified with that essential art which God himself, but only a communication of it and a share in it. So he's in a certain sense saying the artist can participate in this, but is not, everything the artist is creating is only a portion of what the Creator created. It's a glimmer of it. I'll get to that in a second. Let's move on. I'm just kind of laying down some bricks here that I'll build something with. He then moves on to talk about the appeal to the mystery. He says, church's faith, he talks specifically here about liturgical celebration. He says, church's faith in the liturgical celebration of the sacred mysteries, the beautiful was thus wedded to the true. Right? So now going back to the transcendentals, the true and the beautiful and the good. The beautiful was thus, so through the church's liturgical celebration and the sacred mysteries, the beautiful was wedded to the true, so that through art, souls might be lifted up to the world of the senses. Souls might be lifted up from the world of senses to the eternal. I'll get to that in a minute. Just kind of laying the bricks here. So then moving on here, later on in Letter to Artists, he kind of continues with this appeal to the mystery. And he says, art has a unique capacity to take one or other facet of the message and translate it into colors, shapes, and sounds, which nourish the intuition of those who look and listen. So as an audience, somebody taking in art, you are nourished by the colors, shapes, and sounds. Just by taking it in. Art can do that. It can nourish you. Now here's a cool thing that also blew my mind. So art can translate into colors, shapes, and sounds which nourish the intuition of those who look or listen. It does so without emptying the message itself of its transcendent value and its aura of mystery. So art is not something to play with. It has real potential power and does not empty the message. That's the beauty. So beauty truly is true if done so with the proper intention to co-create with God. And the last thing I'll say here, and this right here, this statement right here, is what really kind of made me, at the time that I read this, affirmed me as an artist because I came from a place where I was getting fed not just from Christian art, but from art all over the world. It was speaking to me. And I was kind of, when I got into my faith, I was kind of butting up against this idea and mentality that only specifically Christian art has the potential of revealing God. And I struggled with that because I know the encounters I had with art from other places in my life truly struck the same chord that my faith resonates with. There's true power in the art of people from other walks of life. So he touches on that, and he says, let's see here. He says, however, the church has not ceased to nurture great appreciation for the value of art as such, even beyond its typical religious expressions. True art has a close affinity with the world of faith, so that even in situations where culture and church are far apart, it remains a kind of bridge to religious experience. Insofar as it seeks the beautiful, that's very important, fruit of an imagination which rises above the everyday, art is by its nature a kind of appeal to the mystery, even when they explore the darkest depths of the soul or the most unsettling aspects of evil. So even when art is dealing with the most unsettling aspects of evil or the darkest depths of the soul, artists give voice in a way to the universal desire for redemption. Blew my mind when I read that. So let me wrap it all up here. What struck me from this letter, and I don't know if that made any sense, but I'll try to tie it together in my own words. What he's saying is that God is the creator, and God breathed his breath in this world, and that's the beginning. As the artist, you have the responsibility with the proper intention, and that's important, and I'll get to that in a minute. You have the responsibility and the potential to tap into that breath, as if there's the breath of the creator is going. You have the potential to slide into it and brush up against it and participate through your work and actually become a co-creator with God in that breath. The breath is inspiration, to inspire, right? So if you open yourself up to God with the proper intention, and there's a way in art not to have the proper intention, and I'll talk about that in a second. But with the proper intention, you open yourself up to that initial breath of the creator, the ruah, and with that, it inspires you, and you're so infused, and you see the beauty, and you love, and you're moved by beauty. You're moved by the inspiration. Every artist can say who they're moved by. Every song I've written is me trying to be like another song that moved me. That's what inspires me. I'm inspired by something somebody else did. I'm inspired by what God does all around us, and I see it, and I'm moved by it, and I want to join the conversation as a creative artist. And I use my gifts to take that breath and enter into it just for a little bit and become a co-creator with God. Side note, that's very important. This is not just reserved for artists. We all have this potential in our lives. We're all artists in our own life. Artist doesn't necessarily, he means artist in a broad sense, not necessarily someone who plays guitar or somebody who sculpts. Yes, that is true. He does mean them, but he also says in our own lives, the artwork of our life, of our dwelling, how we interact, how we live is a piece of art. So we can become co-creators by tapping into that. And he says that art, by doing so, we will never fully capture the beauty that inspired us. We will never fully create the Pietà will never be as beautiful as Mary holding Christ. Never will. But by doing so, by using materials, tangible things, we are creating something that taps into the mystery of what it means to be human. And that, my friends, is what an icon is. I always say the difference between, I talked about good intention and bad intention. So somebody could say, well, does that mean anything that an artist creates is somehow a reflection of God? And the answer is to a degree, it depends. It depends on what the intention of the artist is. If the intention of the artist is to use the materials, to show off the materials, so that everybody can see the artifact and be impressed by the piece of art for itself, for how well it's done, or for how well a singer, that's what, like singers for me, there's some singers that they can sing all these notes. They can sing them and they're, they hit all the scales and they're doing the hand thing and the flap, the microphone. And if the intention is to show you how well they can use the material, then the art starts and stops at the material, and thus is it an idol. If the point is just to show off the material, it's an idol, right? But if the intention of the artist is to use the materials, bring them together, so that when combined also with the skill and gift of the artist, doesn't show off the material, but the material then transcends and reveals something about the human mystery. Who am I? What am I? Where am I going? That, my friends, is that is true beauty. So what Pope John Paul II is saying is even artists that are reflecting on things that aren't all happy and joy, but the cross. I mean, the cross is the most horrific thing imaginable. To have God come here as a human being and we kill him on a cross the way we did, even that in the darkest depths of our hearts and in these dark depths of evil, if done so with a pure intention to reveal something of the truth behind it, then it is participating in the human mystery. And so the way I always look at it is like, we as a songwriter, so many songwriters before me, like, okay, so how could I be moved by other songwriters that aren't specifically Christian or specifically Catholic? Like how can they have a real profound spiritual effect on me? And the answer is because all of us have an echo in our heart to understand the human mystery. We're all thrown into this life. We're all thrown into this wondering, what does this mean? Like, what am I supposed to do here? And our journey is us trying to figure it out. And some people, everybody takes the wrong path. Everybody takes the right path. Everybody takes the wrong path. I love the quote from Benedict where he says, we often think of Peter the denier, the one who denied Christ, and then Peter the rock as two separate people. The rock being the Peter that we built the church upon. They're two separate people. But Pope Benedict says, you have to understand that they are one and the same. They're both happening at the same time. We are both the denier and the rock at the same time. And it's not glorifying the denier, but it's saying that in our brokenness, that's where we come, and Christ comes to help us to stand back on the rock. That's the whole point. So even when artists are in this world with a pure intention to express, even if they don't have the faith background that we grew up with, they don't have the terminology, the sacrament, the understanding of sacraments, they don't have this, but they have a genuine and pure desire to figure out what it means to be human, then they, through their creation, are honest and earnestly throwing into the conversation of the human mystery and thus creating religious art. That blew my mind when I first heard that. So that's why, for me growing up, Peter Gabriel, who I don't even know his faith background, but I could sit in my room when I was 13 and listen to his music and feel some kind of true connection to myself and to what it means to be human, because he was putting out work with a pure intention to join the conversation of the human mystery. So John Paul II understood this, and he understood that we have a responsibility then to co-create with God and with materials create artifacts and artistic expressions that can reveal to other people something about God and themselves and the relationship. That, my friends, when you do that, so I talked about the materials. When we focus just on materials, you get the idol. When you put the materials together and it transcends, it becomes the icon. Art can be an icon, a transcendent window into the mystery, the human mystery of who am I, what am I, where am I going? And that's the point of art. John Paul II understood that, and if you understand that potential in everybody, then you see the artistic journey that everybody's taking. And if you could see that artistic journey that everybody's taking, you can love them purely for who they are in that moment, a human being, a broken human being, and you can meet them there. So we need to understand that reality that we're all trying to enter. I say ante. You know, when you play poker, before you play poker, you ante in, you put your chip in. You're saying, I'm in the game. Well, everybody is anteing into the game. They're all in it. And we have bad expressions, we have good expressions. But if you understand that, there's a great quote that Christopher West says, it's a quote from somebody else, but behind the eye of every person is a story that if you knew would make you weep. And that's what we're talking about here. That's the journey we're on. And John Paul II understood that we, in our brokenness, can take from that journey of a story that makes you weep, can enter in and co-create with God and have show a glimmer of his magnificent beauty. Profound. So, on that note, I think that made sense. I don't know. I hope it made sense, but so I want to play a song for you that, when I first heard or read this letter, it affirmed me because I was coming into my faith and I was already writing songs and I was so inspired by all this different stuff that was having a genuine impact on my life and helping me grow. But I was a songwriter, and so I kind of had this pressure of, well, in order to be a songwriter, you need to write about a Christian songwriter, need to write about very specific things. And I remember feeling torn about that because I thought, well, no, the parables are a great expression of metaphor to explain their stories, their narratives. And the music that I love are narratives, they're stories. So when I read that letter to artists, I thought, Mike, you can continue going along using your gifts, your DNA of artistic expression to write stories that are narratives that mean something on a narrative plane, but also have a theological truth. That's your mission. So John Paul II's letter to the artist affirmed my mission to write music that spoke of the common person and revealed the person's desire to enter into the conversation of the human mystery of what it means to be human. Who am I? What am I? Where am I going? So every song I write, because of John Paul II, is an expression within those guidelines. So I'm gonna play a song here that is, I played this when I was there. So if you guys saw me when I was in Brazil, you heard this song. And this is a great example of the narrative is somebody expressing dissonance, friction in their life. They're grappling with the fact that everything is finite. This world is finite. Things around us are new for a moment and then slowly fall apart. People are with us and then they leave. Animals are with us and then they leave. So the landscapes that we look at are beautiful, but then they change. Everything is finite. And if we focus on the finite, and if we say hang our hat on, or if we put all of our hope in the finite things, then we are dead in just a matter of time. But we have to realize our desire is not in the finite. Our desire is in the eternal. Our desire is to be unified with God. That's the God hole we have, or the ultimate desire is to be unified with God. And so, we will not be satisfied until we set ourselves on that journey. And heaven is the marriage between Christ and his church. We are the bride as a church. He is the bridegroom. And if we understand that's the ultimate destiny, and that's the ultimate purpose for us, then we can allow the finite things around us to crumble while we hang our hat on a rock that will stand for eternity. And so this song is about struggling with those finite things, but also realizing that nothing lasts forever except the love of woman and man. And in this song, woman and man is Christ and the church. It also is a metaphor for the reality that life continues through a woman and a man. Life continues that's how the love of a woman and man gives life, gives life, gives life. Even when there's no love, it still can give life, give life. So that's where this song lies. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope I revealed something about the beauty of John Paul II. He was a huge inspiration on me, and everything I do is in some way a reflection of that letter and who he was as a man. So I'll play this song. I'll leave you with this. Numb can words remain? How numb can feelings fall? When beloved is amused, no man can escape at all. Feel your distant fever, and at times I hear your plea, and I taste my tongue burn from every promise gone selfishly. Before you leave me, mother, please help me understand how a boy can be a lover, how a lover can be a man. So if you want me, baby, please want me here today, because nothing lasts forever and nothing's here to stay. So many seen the mornings, now one less until I go. But no beauty of a sunrise can fulfill that ache we all must know. No, I acted foolish, I was a thief among family, but no fault can bleach desire to redeem eternity. I know so well forgiveness, I know so well regret. Every time they pierce my heart, it feels like they've never met. So if you want me, baby, please want me here today, because nothing lasts forever and nothing's here to stay. There were no hands that moved that mountain. There was one drop that changed the world. As sands of time cause agony, the tear released the pearl. So if you want me, baby, please want me here today, because nothing lasts forever and nothing's here to stay. If you want me, baby, step out and take my hand. Well, nothing lasts forever but the love of woman and man. Yeah, nothing lasts forever but the love of woman and man. Yeah, nothing lasts forever. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you. God bless.